The cantina on Zanara 7 was loud, colorful, and full of life. Strange lights from hovering advertisements flashed across the walls, mixing with the chatter of hundreds of aliens and humans. The smell of roasted synth meat and strange spices filled the air. Music played from a floating band of holographic instruments while robots scuttled around. Delivering drinks and cleaning up spilled trays, Captain Eli Turner, a human pilot with a rugged face and quick eyes, leaned back in a corner booth. He had been traveling through space for weeks, and this was his first moment of peace. He sipped a warm drink and watched the crowd, feeling the hum of the cantina vibrate through the floor. Eli had been in many fights before, but tonight he hoped for no trouble. Trouble, however, had a way of finding him. A group of 6 aliens entered the cantina, their presence demanding attention. Each was different. One had bright blue scales and 4 arms. Another had a long, thin neck with glowing eyes, while the others ranged from tall and muscular to short and fast-moving. They laughed loudly, slapping their weapons against their legs and bumping into patrons. Humans and aliens alike gave them wary glances. Eli noticed them immediately. Something about the way they moved, confident and aggressive, made his instincts flare. He tried to ignore them. Humans often had to deal with alien arrogance, and it was not worth a fight. Usually, but then it happened. A small child, a half-human, half-alien hybrid, was playing near a table of aliens. One of the bigger aliens reached out carelessly and knocked the child over. The boy fell onto the floor crying. Drinks spilled and the crowd gasped. Eli's calm demeanor vanished in an instant. Humans had a sense of justice that ran deep, and seeing someone weaker being harmed was a spark to his fire. He rose from his booth, his chair scraping the floor loudly, and walked toward the group. "Hey," he shouted. "Back off." The 6 aliens turned, surprised by the human who dared to confront them. One laughed, his voice deep and echoing. "And who are you to tell us what to do? I'm someone who doesn't like bullies," Eli said, his voice steady. He did not reach for a weapon yet. He knew he could fight, but he preferred using brains before fists. The aliens snorted and advanced. The cantina seemed to hold its breath. Patrons stopped talking, and even the holographic band paused its music. Everyone sensed the tension in the air. Eli's eyes scanned the room. There were tables, chairs, and hanging beams he could use if needed. He noticed the aliens were not working together well. Their movements were uncoordinated, and their attention often drifted. This was his chance. The first alien, a muscular one with 3 eyes, swung his arm at Eli. With a swift sidestep, Eli avoided the hit and used the momentum to push the alien into a table. Glasses and plates clattered to the floor, and the alien cursed in his language. The other aliens looked shocked. Humans were usually not very strong, yet Eli moved with precision, almost like he had been expecting their attacks. One of the aliens, taller and with glowing eyes, tried to strike from above. Eli ducked under the swing and kicked the table leg, sending it toppling into the attacker. The cantina erupted in murmurs. Patrons were amazed. Eli didn't waste a moment. He jumped onto a low counter to gain height, ready for whatever came next. The aliens hesitated. This human was clever, quick, and fearless. It was not what they expected. Meanwhile, the child crawled behind a barrel, safe for the moment, watching Eli with wide eyes. The small presence reminded Eli why he was fighting. It was not for glory or pride. It was to protect those who could not defend themselves. The aliens regrouped, hissing and growling among themselves. They tried to circle Eli, but he anticipated their movements. With every dodge and block, he made small openings, leading the aliens into awkward positions. He was using not only strength but strategy, something that made humans dangerous in ways aliens often underestimated. Eli's chest burned, and sweat ran down his face, but he remained calm. He knew that panicking would be fatal. Every human has an instinct to survive, and he was letting that guide him. Finally, Eli grabbed a chair from a nearby table and used it as a shield. One alien lunged, and Eli blocked with the chair, spinning and tripping another into a wall. The crowd cheered quietly, impressed by the human's skill. Even some aliens looked nervous now. For a moment, it seemed the fight could go either way. Eli stood ready, eyes sharp, body tense, and mind calculating. The cantina was no longer just a place for drinks, it had become a battlefield. And Eli Turner, a human among aliens, was about to show that cleverness, courage, and the refusal to back down could make one man a force to be reckoned with. The cantina was filled with tension. Broken tables, spilled drinks, and startled patrons created a chaotic scene. The 6 aliens glared at Eli Turner, who stood in the center, calm and ready. Every muscle in his body was alert, his mind racing. Humans were often underestimated, but Eli knew he could use speed, brains, and timing to fight even multiple enemies at once. The first alien made a move. It was the 4-armed blue-scaled one, his claws glinting under the neon lights. He lunged at Eli from the left, aiming to grab him and throw him into the wall. Eli sidestepped smoothly, letting the alien crash into a stack of crates. The clatter echoed across the cantina. Patrons gasped. Eli didn't pause. He grabbed a bottle from the bar counter and swung it, not to break it, but to startle the second alien, a tall, thin creature with glowing eyes. The alien stumbled back, surprised by the human's quick thinking. Eli's eyes darted across the room, noting every detail. He saw an opportunity. The third alien, muscular and horned, charged straight at him, overconfident and careless. With precise timing, Eli dropped low and swept the alien's legs, sending him sprawling into a table. Glasses toppled, and a few patrons ducked to avoid flying debris. The other aliens froze for a moment, realizing this human was not easy to defeat. The fourth alien, smaller but very fast, tried to sneak up from behind. Eli spun quickly, using the chair he had grabbed earlier to block a sharp strike. Sparks flew as alien claws scraped the metal. Using the momentum, Eli pushed the fast alien toward a wall, making him collide softly but firmly enough to slow him down. The cantina erupted into whispers. Patrons were amazed that one human could handle 6 different aliens, each with unique fighting styles. Robots paused mid-cleaning to watch, and even the holographic band seemed to flicker in excitement. Eli noticed the 5th alien, with long tentacle-like arms, trying to strike from above. Humans were usually weaker in reach compared to alien tentacles, but Eli was clever. He ducked under the first swing, then rolled forward and grabbed a low-hanging beam. Swinging from it, he used his body weight to knock the alien off balance, sending it stumbling into a wall. The last alien, who had been observing quietly, was the most dangerous. It carried a small energy blade and had the sharpest reflexes. Eli knew he had to be careful. He measured the alien's distance, predicting its movements. The alien lunged with the blade, fast and precise. Eli sidestepped at the exact moment, letting the blade pass harmlessly. He grabbed a fallen bottle and flicked it at the alien's hand, making it lose grip for a second, enough for Eli to push it away. For a moment, the cantina seemed frozen. 6 aliens, all strong and skilled, faced one human who moved with unmatched precision. Eli's breathing was steady. He was tired but not exhausted. His training as a pilot, his years of survival in dangerous space missions had prepared him for this. Then came the cleverest move. Eli noticed the aliens were not communicating well. Each had its own language, and none of them seemed to follow a single plan. They tried to coordinate, but their actions were uncoordinated and sometimes even collided. Eli smiled slightly. Humans were not the strongest in raw power, but the human mind was clever and adaptable. He began using the environment more actively. He pulled a hanging lamp and swung it like a pendulum. One alien, too focused on attacking him, didn't see it coming. The lamp knocked it sideways and it crashed into a table of empty mugs. Another alien tripped over a fallen chair, tumbling awkwardly. The others hesitated, now unsure of how to approach. The small child who had been knocked over earlier peeked from behind a barrel, wide-eyed. Eli's eyes met the child's, and he nodded reassuringly. This fight was about protection, not anger. He wanted to end it quickly and safely, showing that humans could fight honorably. One alien finally tried a combined attack, signaling the others to surround Eli. But their timing was off. Eli rolled forward, using his speed to slip between them. He pushed one alien toward another, causing them to collide. It was a human trick, using enemies against each other. They growled in frustration, realizing the human was smart, not just strong. Eli's moves were like a dance. Every step, roll, and swing was deliberate. Patrons cheered quietly, impressed by the human's skill. The cantina had transformed into a battlefield, and Eli was the master of it even against overwhelming odds. Finally, all 6 aliens paused. They were battered, confused, and frustrated. One of them hissed, "This human, he is not like the others." Eli stood, breathing evenly, ready for whatever came next. The fight was far from over, but the first strike had already shown the power of human intelligence, courage, and adaptability. In that moment, Eli Turner became more than just a human in an alien world. He became a symbol, proof that cleverness, bravery, and quick thinking could make one human a force to be reckoned with, even against 6 powerful aliens at once. The cantina was now a whirlwind of chaos. Tables were broken, chairs were scattered across the floor, and small fires from toppled lamps flickered dangerously. Patrons huddled behind counters or leaned against walls, their eyes wide as they watched the human Eli Turner face 6 powerful aliens at once. Eli's movements were precise, yet fluid like water flowing around rocks. Every glance and every step was calculated. He wasn't trying to hurt the aliens more than necessary. His goal was to defend himself and others while showing that humans could survive, and even triumph against stronger opponents. The blue-scaled alien with 4 arms lunged again. Furious from the earlier collisions, Eli dodged each swing with careful timing, using the alien's own momentum to guide him into a metal railing. The alien struggled to regain balance, giving Eli just enough time to leap onto a bar table. The table wobbled under his weight but didn't break, sending the alien stumbling into the corner of the room. The tall alien with glowing eyes tried a new tactic. It leapt onto a low balcony above the cantina, planning to strike from above. Eli's eyes followed its movements. He couldn't fight it directly from below without risk, so he grabbed a nearby tray of empty bottles and flung them upward. One bottle struck the alien on the shoulder, causing it to falter and lose its footing. Eli didn't waste the moment. He rolled off the table and landed behind the alien, ready to continue the battle. The other aliens tried to flank him, but Eli had anticipated this. Humans were small compared to many alien species, and that made them harder to hit. He ducked, twisted, and slid along the floor, turning the aliens' attacks into opportunities. One alien tripped over a fallen chair. Another crashed into a wall after misjudging a swing. Eli noticed the tentacle-armed alien moving with unusual speed, trying to trap him in a corner. He ran toward a low beam overhead, jumping just in time to avoid the first strike. Using the beam like a rope, he swung past the alien, grabbing a hanging lantern. He dropped it carefully onto the tentacle alien's path. The lantern toppled with a crash, and the alien's tentacles tangled in the chains holding it. It was working. The aliens' teamwork was poor because of their different species and communication styles. Eli could see confusion flicker in their eyes. One tried to shout orders, but the others didn't fully understand. Humans might not be the strongest, but they were clever. They could adapt to any situation, and Eli was proof. The horned, muscular alien roared in frustration and charged at Eli with both fists. Eli ducked low and grabbed a chair leg from the floor. He blocked the first punch and shoved the alien backward. Using the momentum, he tripped the alien with a well-timed sweep. The alien crashed into a stack of crates, sending crates and supplies spilling everywhere. Patrons ducked again, amazed at Eli's skill. Eli could feel his body tiring, but his mind was sharp. Each alien had a strength, and he had learned to predict it. Speed, brute strength, reach, sharp claws, all of it could be countered with timing, cleverness, and focus. Every human fight he had been in, every danger he had survived in space had prepared him for this moment. Then came a tricky move. The fast, small alien darted around him, trying to strike from multiple angles. Eli's eyes followed every motion. He realized that if he could mislead it, he could use it against the others. He dodged once, then again, letting the alien stumble into the glowing-eyed alien. They collided and fell in a heap, giving Eli a small advantage. He paused only briefly to glance at the child, who was still safely hiding. The boy's wide eyes filled with admiration. Eli gave a small nod, silently telling him everything would be okay. This was about more than fighting. It was about showing courage, honor, and the human spirit. Eli moved quickly now, thinking ahead. He grabbed a fallen chair and swung it in a wide arc, knocking another alien backward. The fourth alien, still struggling from earlier, attempted a counterattack, but Eli's speed and cleverness kept him just out of reach. Using another overturned table as a ramp, Eli leapt onto a balcony rail, kicking down toward the alien. The impact sent the alien tumbling, further disorienting the group. Patrons began whispering excitedly. "He's amazing," one said. "A single human against 6 and he's still standing." Even the aliens seemed surprised. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, seen as weak or fragile. Eli was proving them wrong with every move. The last alien, the one carrying the energy blade, had been silent, waiting for the right moment. Eli noticed its stance, predicting its next strike. Using a combination of speed and trickery, he dodged the blade and shoved a table between them. The alien hissed, unable to attack directly, while Eli positioned himself strategically. The battle had reached a turning point. Eli was still facing all 6 aliens, but now he had control of the environment. Broken furniture, overturned crates, and low-hanging beams were no longer obstacles, they were tools. Every move he made was deliberate, every action calculated. The humans watching felt a mix of fear and awe. The aliens were angry, but they were being outsmarted by one determined human. Eli's chest heaved slightly, but he stood tall. He knew the fight was not over, but he had already proven something important. Humans could survive, adapt, and even dominate when others underestimated them. He was ready for the next stage, ready to use his ingenuity to turn the tide completely. The cantina had become more than a bar. It was now a proving ground. And Eli Turner, a single human among 6 formidable aliens, was about to show that courage, cleverness, and quick thinking could make even one human a galactic force to be reckoned with. The cantina was a battlefield. Broken tables, spilled drinks, and scattered crates covered the floor. The air was thick with smoke from a few flickering lamps and the smell of burnt food. Patrons pressed themselves against walls, some peeking out to watch the human Eli Turner face 6 alien attackers at once. Eli's body ached from dodging, rolling and striking, but his mind was sharp. He studied each alien carefully, noting their weaknesses, their mistakes, and their poor teamwork. Unlike humans, the aliens were not used to working as one against a clever opponent. Their communication styles differed, and that was the opening Eli had been waiting for. The blue-scaled alien lunged at him again, forearms flailing. Eli sidestepped, letting the alien crash into the remains of a bar counter. Sparks flew from damaged machinery, and the alien roared in frustration. Eli didn't pause. He grabbed a metal tray from the counter and slid it along the floor, tripping another alien with its own momentum. One by one, he began turning their aggression against them. The tall, glowing-eyed alien attempted to jump from the balcony and strike him, but Eli had predicted it. He grabbed a hanging lamp and swung it, brushing it against the alien's legs. The alien slipped, clawing at the railing to stop its fall. The humans in the cantina cheered quietly, amazed at Eli's clever use of the environment. The tentacle-armed alien tried to trap Eli again, whipping its long limbs in multiple directions. Eli ducked and rolled, letting the tentacles pass overhead. He grabbed a fallen chair leg and struck it in the center, causing it to stumble backward into another alien. The two collided, crashing into crates and creating a pile of confusion. The horned, muscular alien roared and charged, but Eli had noticed its pattern. Humans were smaller, yes, but we learned quickly and adapted. Eli sidestepped and tripped it with a low sweep, sending it tumbling across the cantina. The alien's momentum caused it to knock over a table, making it momentarily disoriented. Even the small, fast alien that had been darting around him was starting to hesitate. It realized that every strike it tried could backfire. Eli's movements were unpredictable but calculated, and the alien's speed alone could not match his strategy. The last alien, the one carrying the energy blade, had been quiet, watching and waiting. It was smart, patient, and dangerous. Eli knew he had to finish this fight cleverly, not just with force. He noticed the alien was trying to coordinate a new attack, signaling the others with sharp gestures. But the miscommunication between species worked in Eli's favor. He acted quickly. Grabbing a fallen tray and a bottle, he threw them toward the glowing-eyed alien, causing it to stumble. The energy blade alien lunged at him from the side. Eli rolled and used a low-hanging beam to propel himself up, kicking the alien backward into a pile of broken crates. The alien hissed, realizing it had underestimated the human's cleverness. The remaining aliens were exhausted, confused, and angry. Eli's strategy was simple but effective. Use their strengths against them, exploit their lack of coordination, and remain one step ahead. Every punch he dodged, every swing he blocked, and every movement he made had been planned instinctively. Eli's chest heaved as he paused briefly to catch his breath. The child who had been hiding earlier peeked out again, eyes wide with admiration. Eli gave a reassuring nod. The fight wasn't about ego, it was about showing courage, protecting the innocent and proving that humans were clever and resourceful. Even in impossible situations, the aliens tried one final attempt to surround him. They coordinated, or at least tried to, moving in a circle. Eli smiled slightly. Humans may not have been the strongest, but they could think faster than many aliens, and that made all the difference. He timed his movement perfectly, rolling through a small gap between two aliens and tripping the third with a quick sweep. The others collided as a result, creating chaos in their ranks. Eli now had the advantage. The 6 aliens were no longer attacking as a team. They were reacting to him, reacting to mistakes he had created. Using a combination of agility, clever tactics, and quick thinking, he pushed, dodged, and manipulated the battlefield to his favor. The cantina itself had become a tool, not just a setting. Broken beams, tables, and crates all served him, helping him control every movement. Finally, one by one, the aliens stopped their attacks. They were exhausted, disoriented, and realizing that this human was not like any other they had faced. Hisses, growls, and frustrated gestures filled the air as they retreated slightly, acknowledging Eli's skill without words. Eli stood tall, breathing steadily. Sweat dripped down his face, but his eyes were sharp and determined. He had turned the tide. What had begun as a desperate fight in a crowded cantina was now a display of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The crowd, alien and human alike, erupted into cheers. Some clapped, others whispered in awe. Even the aliens seemed to hesitate, unsure whether to attack further or retreat. They had learned something important. Humans were not weak, fragile, or easily intimidated. Humans could think, adapt, and survive even against impossible odds. Eli's gaze swept over the battlefield. He had won the first major part of the fight. The aliens had been humbled, if not defeated entirely, but the point was clear. Human courage and cleverness had triumphed over strength and numbers. And as Eli stood in the middle of the wrecked cantina, ready for whatever came next, he knew one thing for certain. This fight had proven something more than his own skill. It had proven that humans belonged in the galaxy, respected for more than their size, for more than their weapons. Humans were clever, adaptable, and capable of greatness. The cantina was quiet now, except for the soft hum of damaged machinery and the occasional drip of spilled drinks. The 6 aliens who had attacked moments ago were on the floor or leaning against walls, breathing heavily, bruised and disoriented. Eli Turner, the human who had faced all 6 at once, stood tall in the center, calm and alert. Patrons peeked from behind counters and tables, whispering to one another. Some cheered softly, unable to contain their admiration. Eli's movements had been precise, clever, and fearless. He had used his speed, mind, and environment to outsmart the aliens, proving that humans were more than they appeared. The small child who had been hiding behind a barrel ran toward Eli, eyes wide with admiration. "Thank you," the boy said, his voice full of awe. Eli knelt down and ruffled the child's hair gently. "You're welcome," he said with a warm smile. "Remember, bravery is not just about fighting. It's about helping others when they need you." The aliens slowly rose, groaning and brushing themselves off. Their leader, the blue-scaled four-armed alien, looked at Eli with a mixture of frustration and respect. He spoke in a low, rumbling voice, but the tone was not threatening. "Human, you are different. Strong, clever, fearless. We underestimated you." Eli nodded slightly. "I'm just a human who believes in doing what's right." For the first time, the aliens seemed to understand. Their hisses and growls softened. Some even offered small gestures of respect. It was a rare sight. Aliens acknowledging that a human had bested them not with brute strength alone, but with intelligence, strategy, and courage. The cantina owner, a large, friendly alien with 4 eyes, approached Eli. "You've saved everyone here tonight," he said. "I don't know how you did it, but humans are incredible." Eli shook his head modestly. "I just did what I had to," he replied. "No one deserves to be hurt, and no one should feel powerless." Word of the fight spread quickly. Traders, travelers, and citizens on Zanara 7 spoke in whispers and shouts about the human who had faced 6 aliens at once. Merchants told stories to their customers, and soon, the tale spread to other cantinas and spaceports. Eli Turner's name became known, not just for his courage, but for his cleverness and honor. The 6 aliens, still nursing bruises, slowly left the cantina. They didn't attack again, but their respectful nods to Eli told everyone watching that humans should not be underestimated. Some aliens even whispered to one another, "If one human can do this, imagine what others could do." Eli glanced around the cantina. Broken furniture, scattered crates, and spilled drinks told the story of the battle. But they also symbolized something greater. Humans were resourceful. Humans were brave. Humans could survive, adapt, and triumph even in impossible situations. The child ran up to Eli one last time. Will you come back? The boy asked. Eli smiled. I'll be around, he said. And maybe one day you'll show someone else how courage matters. He stood up and made his way to the exit. Patrons parted to let him pass, some clapping, some simply staring in admiration. Eli's steps were steady, his presence commanding yet humble. He had proven himself without boasting, and the galaxy had taken notice. Outside the cantina, the neon lights of Zanara 7 glimmered in the night sky. Spaceships hummed as they landed and took off, and distant planets shone in the stars above. Eli took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air against his face. The fight was over, but he knew his journey was far from done. News of his victory reached not only the citizens of Zanara 7, but also galactic traders, mercenaries, and even political leaders. Humans had a reputation for courage, but Eli's actions had elevated that reputation. One human had faced impossible odds and won, not through brute force alone, but through strategy, courage, and honor. Eli smiled quietly. The galaxy was large, full of challenges and adventures, but tonight had proven something important. Humans could face the strongest, the fastest, the most skilled beings and still come out ahead. Humans were clever, adaptable, and brave. As Eli walked to his ship, the small hum of engines and the distant lights of space called to him. He had friends to meet, missions to undertake, and adventures to face. But one thing was certain: wherever humans went, their courage and cleverness would leave a mark on the galaxy. Eli Turner climbed into his ship, buckled in, and looked back one last time at the cantina. A smile played on his lips. One human had faced 6 aliens at once and had not only survived, but had earned respect and admiration. The engines roared to life and Eli soared into the stars. The story of that night would be told again and again, a story of courage, quick thinking, and the human spirit. Humans were small compared to the galaxy, but their heart, mind, and determination made them powerful in ways the universe would never forget. And so, the human who fought 6 aliens at once became a legend, not because he wanted fame, but because he dared to stand for what was right and in doing so, showed the galaxy what humans were truly capable of.